Hi, my name's Jerry Verseput, and I've been around the Oak Hills for about 26 years. Almost 20 of that was serving on the elder board, which I'm not doing at the moment, although I am still on the administrative council. So, talking about giving has always been an awkward topic for Oak Hills, although it's less awkward for me now that I'm not on the elder board and I can talk just as a member of the church. It's awkward mainly because we're painfully aware that giving has been abused by churches throughout history. Even when Jesus and the disciples were traveling around, people donated money to provide for them, and Jesus put a guy in charge of the money who was skimming some for himself. So obviously, Jesus knew about it. So it really shouldn't be an awkward topic, even though historically not everyone has been a good steward of what people gave. I'm pretty sure our faithfulness in giving and the faithfulness of those who are responsible for the money after it's been given are evaluated separately. God established giving as a necessary practice, starting with Cain and Abel. And there's a long list of Bible verses from both the Old and New Testament that either lay out specific guidelines for giving or indicate that regular giving is simply assumed for every believer. It's clear that giving is a non-negotiable part of a spiritual life. So Oak Hills believes it's important to teach on it, despite the awkwardness and skepticism that always gets expressed whenever the subject of money comes up. As is true for most, if not all, spiritual practices, there's both a spiritual side and a practical side to giving. The practical side is that churches don't charge membership dues, at least most of them. And there's a mortgage and utility bills to pay, and salaries and health insurance and retirement contributions for staff, toilet paper, boxes and boxes of goldfish crackers. And sometimes this is easy to forget, the expenses associated with serving and being relevant in the community and different ministries throughout the world. A church has all the expenses of a rather complicated business. That's definitely true of Oak Hills. And rather than create piles of money, God, since the beginning, decided to cover these expenses through the offerings of people who serve Him. From a practical standpoint, the Bible establishes the amount that people are expected to give and the amount that churches should operate within at 10% of earnings, or what the Bible refers to as first fruits. On the spiritual side, there are few spiritual disciplines that so clearly indicate to ourselves where we are from a spiritual maturity standpoint. For many people, the idea of getting away for a period of solitude, for example, is easy to look forward to, especially if you throw in a forest or the ocean. Many of us, me included, would enjoy that whether we're trying to practice a spiritual discipline or not. Giving is different, especially when it involves first fruits as opposed to leftovers, and when it involves something mundane like giving to the practical needs of the local church, or what we call the general fund. It's an actual sacrifice. Oak Hills views the discipline of giving as a necessary part of every Christian spiritual development. From a teaching standpoint, we believe that what the Bible defines as a tithe, or 10% of income, is a good minimum goal for all Christians. And this is an expectation for anyone in a leadership or staff position at Oak Hills. Common questions that come up around giving is whether 10% should be before tax or after tax. Does it include what I give to charities other than the church? What if I'm having trouble paying my bills? The church's position is that giving something is better than nothing. And some people, as part of their spiritual development, may need to make a deliberate effort to get their financial life under control so that they're able to give. The minor details are something that God can fine-tune with you over time. As part of a spiritual journey, and in a nation as wealthy as ours, it would be pretty difficult for most people to argue that their goal should be giving away less than 10%. In terms of how much should go to your local church as opposed to other favorite charities, Oak Hills has always taken the position that the discipline of giving is more important than where it goes. The local church that you attend and that serves your spiritual needs requires money to continue to function as a church. But if the idea of giving 10% to your local church gets in the way of giving, then give money to whoever you want to. That's the church's position, but since they asked me to do this video, I get to give my 2 cents. I talked about the practical reality of a church needing to pay salaries and buy goldfish crackers. The spiritual benefit of giving involves the recommendation or the recognition that what we have doesn't ultimately belong to us. We're really caretakers of what God has given to us, and giving 10% to something mundane like a church's general fund means giving control of our tithe to a group of church leaders who have been assigned the task of determining priorities for the church. At Oak Hills, the staff and elder board are responsible and will be held accountable for following the Holy Spirit's leading to determine priorities between, say, paying utility bills, hiring staff, or renovating the courtyard. And we won't always agree with their priorities, but giving to the local church with no strings attached is part of the spiritual discipline of giving. I tend to believe, again, this is just me talking, that 10% is the part I relinquish control over, meaning I don't direct how it's used. Supporting a charity I really like, or a ministry family, or any other form of giving is something I get to control, and therefore is something beyond the tithe.